Hi guys, I probably used the wrong screen capturing program and voice was not recorded on my last tutorial, so I'm gonna do it again. This is what I've ended up with. Now I'm gonna start it all over. So when starting all over, the first things we need to do in AutoCAD is start a new drawing. So I'm just gonna um, pick one of the templates. It really does not matter much, but I will tell you that manufacturing, architecture, and interior architecture, I'm not really sure which one of these is but I will tell you manufacturing is definitely not the one that we want to do. Now, I'm going to take a default AutoCAD template. We will talk about templates a little bit more. So when I click on it, second thing that I need to do is check units because we draw in one-to-one scale in AutoCAD everything as it is measured one to one, and then we have different ways of setting up scale for a drawing. So what I'm going to do is check out units. Now you've probably seen the interface and there are multiple ways of putting in a command. I'm very old school, so I use a keyboard shortcuts for something. Now I'm going to show you most of the stuff by typing in. Now, there are multiple ways to do it and finding through the drop down menus to many different ways, but I think your goal is to be as efficient as possible in AutoCAD, and I will tell you keyboard shortcuts, which is something that I'm going to elaborate later, will be one of them. So the first thing that I'm going to do is check units, and I'm going to type in units. And now this particular template starts with decimal units, meaning metric. I want to switch into architectural, and precision should be 16th of an inch, which is fine. Decimal degrees, I want to keep in decimal degrees, not radians. We talked about radians briefly during the Tuesday meeting. So decimal degrees, and you will see that they are counterclockwise. There's an option to uh, switch onto clockwise, but I suggest not because in most cases by default it will be counterclockwise. So I'm going to keep this as my unit setup. Now that I have units, goal of this exercise is to use the coordinate center and draw mostly in what is called the first quadrant, where both of my coordinates will be positive. And I'm going to use a very simple example of drawing a room that will have one door and one window. The room is going to be 14 feet by 16 feet because, um, as an example, and how I'm going to do it is only an explanation and an illustration of this tutorial. You will have to draw your own bedroom, the one that you drafted, and then the one that you measured for the previous assignment. So in order to for AutoCAD to make a distinction between different objects, we use layers to create that distinction. So I was talking about it. Uh, my current layer is layer 0. That's a specific default layer, and it should stay empty because you'll see a little bit later how we can use this special layer. Now, layers that I'm going to create, and you have the list on in the files folder, are going to be a wall. I'm going to give it color yellow, and then layer a door. I'm going to give it color red, and a layer a glaze, and I'm going to give it color 8 or one of the darker grays color. Now, when you see the options, you will have 255 color options. The way I set up printing is connected to the layer color. I always draw objects in the layer with the layer color. If I need a different color, I create a new layer, and I set up how whole layer is going to be plotted, meaning how it's going to come out on paper. per layer color. In order to speed up the process, because on a typical drawing you will have up to 5 different pen thicknesses, I only use first 9 colors for layers. I do occasionally use 2 different other colors from here, from this mix, but it's a lot faster to set it up if you use kind of a selected number of colors. 9 is fairly good number. So glazing will be color 8. I won't be picking any of these grays anywhere else because otherwise, or any of these, right? Not 250, not 251, because it's gonna allow me to faster set up pens once I want to print it out. So here's what we have. Now these are the layers that I'm going to be using in this drawing, and the one that I will start working on will be the layer wall, and I'm going to make it current by just double clicking here. Okay, I can close my menu, zoom in a little bit more, and see how this sheet now works. Now the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to give absolute coordinates because it actually works that way easily. My drawing, I'm going to start so that inner corner of the drawing is at 0, 0. So I'm going to type in 0, 0. This is where it starts. And now the next point in the drawing will be 14 feet, which is kind of here. Now I zoomed in quite far, right? So about 14 feet. Let's see. Let's see how much I can zoom. So I'm using the scroll button of the mouse. This is about 14 feet, right? Now I can give again an absolute coordinate, 14 feet. And feet, I'm typing in, it's next to enter button, the single quotation mark, comma, 0, right? 14 feet on x-axis, y is going to be 0, press enter. So here's my first line. I gave absolute coordinates for all of these points. Now, the thing about AutoCAD and Precision is if I would try to connect a line going up 16 feet line of the wall, starting from the end point here without any help, I can zoom in quite a bit and then try to eyeball the best that I can end point of this line. Well, it seems that I got it, right? But as soon as I start moving closer, you'll see that I will miss it. Because I can zoom in infinitely, this is again vector-based graphics, you will see that it will never be precise. So I'm going to erase this and I will show you the tool, which is called Object Snap, that helps you pick the endpoint, midpoint, center, and all these kind of distinguished vertices and kind of features of the line or the curve, and help you deal with it. So I have endpoint, midpoint, center of the circle, quadrant, intersection, some of them selected. This is the selection that I like. I might put node as well because sometimes if I'm dividing something, it will have point or a node added to it. Now, what is very important is that you never have it running snap, which is this default snap clicked on perpendicular or nearest, because it will mess up your drawing tremendously. So yes, you will use both of these, but you will use them what is called transparently in the middle of a command and never have it running on. I see absolutely unfixable mistakes happening because if you have one of these on, and it will be a lot more clear later. So I'm going to say OK, and now you will see if I start drawing a line when I type in L, and my OSNAP, which is at the bottom of the screen here, is now selected, but you can also have it on by pressing F3, When I come closer, there's this green square with a tag endpoint that shows, which means if I'm here, I will definitely pick an endpoint of the line. Now this line, I'm going to say, will have a polar coordinate. So this one currently says 90 degrees angle, and now is because I zoomed in very far, this is still a distance that is less than an inch, but I want to have distance of 16 feet, and I'm going to say less than 90. That will, if I zoom out, you'll see be the end of it. Now I zoomed in quite a bit. I'm going to press enter to finish the command. Now you will see that I've drew a 16 feet long line starting from here. And if you want to check, I suggest that once you do it, start zooming in, and you can zoom in really, really infinitely. In vector-based graphics, you will see that it always ends up being the line always ends up starting at the endpoint, because this is how we set it up using the OSNAP tool.